Society tells us money is success, status is success, being busy is success, which is interesting because when you really peel back all of those things, like why are you doing those things in the first place?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the very first episode of the Mindful Way podcast with Tom and Heather. We're so happy you're here. And we're really excited to get into a topic today that's really important to us. And that is the idea of success, and not the idea of success that we're often, how we often define it in our culture. So what are some examples, Tom, of the way we typically sort of define success in our culture and our society?
Yeah, I mean, what is success, right? I mean, if you think about it deeply, it's not as true as it might be. You might have been told. Society tells us money is success, status is success, being busy is success, which is interesting because when you really peel back all of those things, like why are you doing those things in the first place? Why are you earning more money? Why are you being busy? Is it really enriching your life? Is it making you feel fulfilled? And those aren't the questions that society likes to ask.
This idea of more is so much ingrained in our culture and our society. More money, a better job, more followers, a bigger house, a business that scales to a certain figure. And I think really taking a step back is one of the most powerful things you can do, and asking yourself, what actually is important to me? What does success look like to me? And that might look very different from what people in your immediate circle or even family members are doing. And that can be really tough. And it's also okay.
Yeah. And I think, from my own perspective too, I, as a business owner, a lot of times you can look at other people's markers of success. Money is a big one.
Yeah.
Social media presence. And it can make you feel inadequate. It can make you feel like you
Totally
aren't doing well enough. But when you strip back what you really want out of life and you start to look at like, hey, that life that person has may not be what I'm looking for. So even though like the markers of society, a lot of followers, they might have that, they may not have what resonates with me. So really,
but maybe there's something else there that you do want. And I think that's also really important, tuning into the things when you look at someone else, because there's so much comparison, of course, nowadays with social media. Looking at, there's someone who has something that you want. Well, kind of asking yourself, what is it? Is it the money? Is it the status?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, of course, we all want to a certain degree, or is it something deeper? Is it a level of connectivity you want to feel? Do you miss that sense of community in your life? Asking yourself, really, what's at the heart of you looking at them and sort of admiring them?
Yeah, I think a lot of times, like, I remember reading once, money is a tool, like a hammer. It's a tool. It's a tool to enrich your life, but society doesn't treat it like a tool. Society treats it as an end. And just like there are people who can use tools for good or bad, they can use a hammer for good or bad. People can use money for good or bad. And looking inward and knowing what the point of money is, what's the point of you receiving that money? What's the point of you searching for that money can help you align. And a lot of times success can be a little bit quieter internally than what society, dictates as what success is. And it requires introspection.
Yes. And there's such a seductive element to all of these things, to the money, to the status, to the things that we're kind of like our ego really wants. And this quieter element actually gets at what will make us feel more deeply fulfilled, which will bring us a sense of joy, which we don't necessarily always get from these other things that seem like they're more important to us.
Yeah.
So it's kind of stopping from the constant go, go, go and more, and giving yourself permission to create a little space to ask yourself that question.
Yeah.
Of what does success look like to you?
When you figure it out, not to be discouraged. I mean, you're going to still be challenged constantly by society showing you things that you don't have, or showing you perspectives that, you're not having. And sometimes you'll be in a good state of mind and you'll be like, you know what, I'm living the life true to me. I may not have $1 million, $1 trillion, but at least I have the things that make me happy.
Yeah.
And then you're going to look at Instagram and you're going to feel that sense of inadequacy again. So recognizing that, like, you're going to be pushing against.
It's going to happen.
Well,
yeah.
You're also going to be pushing against. You're living in a space that is antithetical to the way society will tell you success is, and you have to just be okay with sometimes feeling those feelings, but knowing that your internal compass is moving you in the right direction.
Which takes time. It's not always an immediate thing. And some of the things that are sort of these markers of quieter success, some ideas, some examples, these are things that resonate with us too, that might be different ways to look at success, is more time with the people you love, autonomy over your time and energy, freedom from that, say, 9 to 5 structure, doing work that really aligns with your values, not that just meets an end goal and kind of gets you that paycheck. and creating an impact. I think we all have some sort of barometer for that. We really want to feel like we're making an impact. And again, what does that impact look like to you?
I think impact can be many different things, because sometimes someone hears making an impact and that means they need to, enrich the lives of 50 million people. But other people, it can just be one
It
person.
can be a lot
It could be
smaller.
a neighbor.
Yeah.
And again, this is just a society thing. Like, why do we live in this world now where the number of people you impact is the metric, not the quality of the
Yes.
like everything about American society is more, bigger, and we're all kind of caught in that grind. And the quality of our relationships is okay to focus on rather than the quantity of our relationships. The quality of the impact you have on people, on your career, your job, is more important than how many people you impacted. It's so twisted. And if you look at societies in the past, that was the focus. People were slower. Things were slower.
Yeah.
People had small communities that they were a part of. And nowadays, it can feel like the whole world is your community. And I think that's part of the problem. So again, this is really...
And it's actually really isolating too.
Yeah.
Studies show we're kind of more lonely than ever. We're more isolated than ever, even though we have this connectivity of being on
Right.
social media and being online. And I think there's just so many levels to what makes you happy and what success means to you. And I think just that kind of unplugging is a huge part of it. And building little... that buffer time in for yourself, maybe throughout the week, to just kind of think about even this idea to like waking up without dread, going to sleep proud. The Sunday scary is like, maybe not every morning you're going to wake up feeling great, or maybe every night you won't go to sleep feeling satisfied. Like, that's of course just being human. But I think, what are the things that you want more of in your life? And even just thinking about that is really powerful, and it can bring more of that sort of energy into your life.
Yeah. And I think taking time each day to really question, like, what is it I want out of life really? And how do I get there? How do I move in that direction? And filtering the noise of the people around you. Like, people that love you, obviously, they'll have an opinion about what you're doing. And the way I always like to say it is, like, it's great that they have an opinion, but if they're not doing what you want to do, their opinion is going to matter less, because they just have a different perspective on things. And they may want you...
it's okay if people around you don't always understand or even agree with everything you do. And I think that's a totally a personal barometer. But I think the more, I do think it's part of the process of tuning into more of what makes you happy, is that you're going to sort of realize there's some resistance you get from other people. And yet that's not your job to solve that or resolve that. Your job is to, in as authentic a way as possible, in a kind way, of course, just go after the things that make you happy and kind of keep on that path, which is easier said than done.
Yeah.
And that's something I think we've dealt with too. When you look back at sort of your version of success like 10 years ago, how does it differ from what your version of success is now?
It's so different on so many levels. Success to me now is an internal sense of happiness and an internal sense of my life is moving in a direction that brings me joy and allows me to impact and reach people, versus needing to have 7 houses, or I don't know.
So when you say internal, you mean as in not like external material things, you're saying?
Yeah. And we all, again, I feel that pressure. It's not like that pressure just goes away, but it's that inner knowing of like, hey, that's what we should be focusing on. So what we should be? We should be focusing on really what our internal barometer tells us, where we should be moving, where we should be putting our energy, and not necessarily being productive just for being productive's sake.
Yes.
And making just for the sense of making it. It just is so backwards. So just food for thought. I think this is just an important thing that society as a whole doesn't really teach. You don't really learn this in school. Yet this is some of all the decisions you make in life really rotate around your values. And this is a deep sense of like what you should be using your time for. This helps contribute where you're going to put your energy. And you want to do it authentic to you.
Yes. And we're really passionate about this idea of thinking outside of the box and outside of really just the world perhaps that we grow up in, or the culture or immediate circle around us. And that's been so powerful for us. We've moved across the country. We've left corporate jobs. We've built a life for ourselves bit by bit by bit.
Yeah, it was terrifying. Every step of the way was absolutely terrifying.
The most stressful at times. And it doesn't come without the messy middle. Sometimes feels like it's a constant thing.
Well, I
think that also comes with the territory of going for it.
Yeah.
And I don't always think of myself as the bravest person in the world, but sometimes I look back at the things I have done. And I know if you're listening, that this is true for you too, in the sense that this is why reflection is really important too. You can look back and be like, wow, I did these things that I probably at the time never thought I could. And so that's success too, is, and even if it doesn't seem like it's this huge deal, that is a huge deal.
So maybe take a minute, either today or whenever you feel right, and look inward and ask yourself, like, what is success? What am I really looking to get out of life as a whole? One thing that always helps me is thinking about, it sounds macabre, but thinking about death and thinking about the moment where I die, and what would that version of myself want out of life, or what would he want me to have done? And those are the stories that I use to guide my directions. And again, it's not going to be perfect, and you're going to feel a lot of internal conflict sometimes. But as you go through this journey and you look backwards, you'll start to connect the dots, and things will start to move in a direction that feels authentic to you.
Yes. So 3 questions for you. What actually feels good to me? Where am I chasing someone else's dream? And what's a version of success that supports the life I want to live? And if you want to go further with this and make these journal prompts, you can absolutely do that. Sometimes that's a really great way to delve into this and allow your mind to really just think freely. And one other question that I really love to do, and I feel like you've done this a lot too, Tom, is describe your ideal day from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep. And what does success look like and feel like throughout that day? I love doing those things. It changed this question specifically. I've done this, I think, over the past decade several times, and it changes slightly. And even if it feels really out there and like not something that you could have in your life at all right now, it's really fun just to sort of visualize this ideal day and connect to a powerful thing. So those are some things you can do to really get into that mindset of success, how it feels for you in your life, and kind of maybe even some changes you can take a little step in that direction. So there's no one right way to succeed. You're allowed to define it for yourself, and we're here to really be that reminder for you as much as possible, and just to keep redefining as you grow, I think is really key.
Don't let the noise of the people you love or of society define success for you. Find your own inner compass and take time to really nurture that, because you'd be surprised at how your life changes when, and I've heard this from so many people. Steve Jobs has his famous speech from 2004, the Stanford University, and that has always resonated with me. And he talks about intuition and inner compass. And at the time when I first heard that, I was very young, and now I'm a little bit older, and I can see that play out. So follow your intuition, follow your heart. It knows the way.